And now, here with another designated podcast are Teddy and JJ.
Hey everybody, it's JJ and Teddy with another edition of the Designated Writers Podcast. Glad you're with us as we kind of preview the week that's upcoming. It's a great time of year, Teddy. I know with basketball and baseball and golf all going on, everybody loves this time of year.
Yep, except for the pollen situation. I did just take my gum out of my mouth. I'm holding it because we're not near a trash can. So I'm trying to make this quality.
I got a trash can
I
over
know
here.
we're going to do that.
The place has a trash can in the palatial offices. We got a trash can.
In just a minute. Hey, and we've got some NCAA tourney stuff going on right now, which is probably top of the list on most people's minds.
Yeah, and I wrote in one of the Daily Happens how I don't want to hear about your bracket, and you don't want to hear about mine, and I'm going to hold to that. But at least I would say that the tournament has lived up to its often overranked billing. I mean, a lot of times they tell you about every game is just a major upset. But there have been enough this year to just kind of keep people going. The other night, that Michigan win was on the heels of a interesting win by Texas Tech. You know, the Loyola of Chicago news has been great. And, of course, I'm not sure it's the greatest upset in the history of the world, like they're trying to make UMBC out to be. But it's still something that's never happened before, so it's got to be big.
Yeah, DW was really the only ones that had UMBC pick. Of course, we only had him by 12. I didn't see the 20-point victory coming over the Virgins of Virginia. But a lot of good basketball, and it'll be a lot more this week. We're doing this on Sunday, so Monday night LSU plays in the NIT out in Utah. So good luck to them. If you're listening to this Tuesday and they lost, we're sorry.
Right, it's all a guesswork at this point, but. Yeah, the NCAA tournament is gone. The first weekend is always the biggest one. I hate to reference brackets again, but in most of them, this is what it's pretty much done. The first 4 days, first weekend, first two rounds are really when people either win or lose in their brackets. But nevertheless, I mean, a couple of notes though on the NCAA tournament before we go much further. One is that we should have all seen Arizona's lay down just coming the whole way. They just did not care.
Quit. They quit, and the guys, it's so uncool right after the game. The guys announced we're going pro.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I got an English test tomorrow.
Not anymore.
Right. So, let's tell them a minute about what's coming up this week on DW.
Well, we got a lot. If you may have noticed last week, one of the things I was really excited about is we got our designated contributors, which we may call them something else when the time comes. But we got a number of people lined up who are contributing, because when we said designated writers, it doesn't just mean me and you. Of course, we are the head honchos, so to speak, which doesn't pay us anything.
No, that's too bad.
But we have lots of other people who want to write and want people to read their stuff, and people want to have a variety of things that they can read. We offer the veritable plethora, as Howard Cosell once said, of options out there. And we got more of those coming up. So we're very pleased to be bringing you our designated contributors.
Thanks to Nico Van Thyn, one of our former bosses, greatest telephone book thrower in history. We've seen him chunk many of them. He's already written for us. We'll have something else from him this week. Young J.J. Marshall, our editor / we bumped him up to contributing human, and he's going to have something else this week. Which was really good. We've already read it, but we're holding on to it for
you got to find just the right spot. Right,
all ages. And then Ron Higgins is going to crank something out for us, our tall friend, and Doug Ireland's up this week. You can see a tragic story that he did a real good job with. It was the story of the year in the LSWA last year. And Dougie had his gallbladder out Friday. He's doing fine. He doesn't know how that's going to affect his scribing. So I told him that's where you get all your commas from. So you probably just have to write very, very short sentences from now.
So we got a lot of that going on. Some other big stories coming up for you. We appreciate all that people have been reading and listening and watching and so on and so forth. And our man Peter Winkler, who had a double contribution, so to speak, the other day with him. We gave you all free golf lessons. See, Designated Writers is about you, the listener, viewer, whatever you are, reader. We try to give you something, and free golf lessons was one we thought you might appreciate.
It cost us $60.
Yeah.
But it was free. And we watched it over and over again.
Right.
We took
so we feel like we've gotten something out of it, yeah.
Also, speaking of the tournament, 30 years ago this last week, LSU's bizarre season ended, and we have part one of that story up on the site now, and part two will be later this week. And part two has nothing to do with basketball, really, but it was a surreal year. Again, it's hard to believe that was 30 years ago. And then this Wednesday is when the LSU-Oklahoma game was back in 84-85.
That would be Tech Oklahoma, but that's
okay. Yes, that was Tech that played Oklahoma, I'm sorry. Are you sure? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because we were there. we were there.
Awfully crowded of Tech, LSU, and Oklahoma had all been there.
It didn't work.
It'd be hard to play a man-to-man.
JJ and I both witnessed Ohio State this last week, 30-something years ago, just getting
thrashed,
demolished, and then Pitt just got creamed.
All up in there, yeah.
And the Tech-Oklahoma game was a wonderful one, but we got back and relived that, and also the Lady Texters season that year ended 2 nights later here in Monroe. So we'll recap that for you. Should bring back some memories.
Speaking of upcoming stuff, a little bit further in the future, we've got another Designated Writers First. We're sending you out. Well, actually, we sent me out of state once already, too. But
yep.
You get to cover a major sporting event unlike anybody else.
We'll try to get to the Masters and have daily reports for you from there. It's going to should be, Lord willing, it'll be good. And JJ went to the other coast last year about this time, and
right.
we'll have
coming up on that too.
We'll have a report on that for you that I think you'll really enjoy. We have a piece of good art with that. I would hope so.
We have plenty of art and plenty of video. Believe me, the camera was not.
You'll enjoy that.
Was not shy. All right, other sports kind of coming up that we want to talk about. Things on our mind, so to speak.
No,
that's it.
I think it's it for today because we got to get to work on the rest of this stuff that we're going to be describing.
We got plenty of stuff.
Do we?
Yeah, we got plenty of stuff.
Okay.
Things in your craw. I mean, you seeing too much the same commercials on NCAA tournament all the time.
The guy singing the Nationwide gets me a little bit. It's like it's too hard. It's a little too happy for me.
Yeah,
sure.
No, I agree.
For my opinion.
The Charles Barkley, Spike Lee.
I love those.
Samuel L. Jackson.
I love them. I hadn't seen but a couple so far this year.
And the Jim Nantz, when they go to his house, is actually very funny, but I'm just kind of shocked as to how big Jim is.
He's taking on some helium.
He's
taking on a little bit of the
helium. A
helium.
little bigger. That happens to a lot of us, so I guess it shouldn't be surprising.
Right.
And speaking of golf, which Jim Nantz makes me think of golf at this time of year, our own Sam Burns, not ours, but we like to claim him.
Oh, love Sam. We've known since he was playing with little Honda cars out in the little bitty, what do you call them, Hot Wheels?
Yeah.
Out at Little League while his big brother was playing.
But has been certainly making a name for himself out there in week in and week out as the tour has gone to Florida. So all kind of not really culminating with the Masters, but it's all leading up to the Masters, which ought to be an interesting time of year, because considering that Mr. Woods is back in the mix. Mickelson won a tournament not that long ago. And I'm so happy to say that Designated Writer's own Teddy Allen will be there to cover it like Duke covers Dixie, right?
Like a cheap suit, right.
White on rice. We got them all in there.
For a lot of people, golf doesn't start until the Masters, and that makes sense to me. But it certainly started for Sam Burns, like as you say. And the other day he started out bogey, and then I think on 5 or 6 he doubled and ended up shooting 6 under. But he didn't go 4 over in 5 holes like out at Corby's or something, just hanging around with me and you. He's on the tour with
the real one,
and he still ends up in the top 10 at the end of that day, and should have a top 20 finish, we hope, this afternoon. But anyway, keep up with Sam and check in with Designated Writers this week. Thanks for spreading the word, by the way. And we hope to keep cranking. Yeah,
and of course, we both look forward to baseball season, which is really just around the corner. Mm-hmm. We'll save that for another podcast. I'm sure the official Designated Writers team-by-team forecast, race by race, or we could just tell you that we like the Astros again and be done with it.
They're very good. And that the Orioles are going to, if the season ended in mid-August, they would win. But there's not, and so I've lived that for 25 years.
And the National League seems to be a lot better than the American League, although they're always both well worth watching. All right, that ought to do it for this edition of the Designated Writers podcast. Again, we keep telling you, but keep checking in. We want to be part of your daily rotation. We're in the mixture of your cereal and toast and I'll read this website and that. We got one more, us. We want you to check us out every morning or every afternoon or whenever it's convenient, because you never know what we're going to pop on there for you to enjoy. So
every day, the Daily Happen will be new every day, but lots of new stuff this week.
All right, thanks for joining us on the podcast, and we'll holla at you soon.